UPSC CSE arena is an ever-evolving space where staying up to date becomes as crucial as maintaining a thorough preparation. With strategic planning and holistic coverage for exam syllabus, Vision IS Delhi presents GS Foundation course. Avail analysis and integration of current affairs with GS syllabus. All India test series with an innovative assessment system, inculcating post-test analysis, discussion, All India ranking, and more. Explore the holistic learning modules intrinsically designed for the ideal aspirant.
Good afternoon, guys. So you've already done two parts, how to prepare society and how to prepare history. Now how to prepare economics. First of all, we'll start with what exactly you have to prepare. Exam ke baare mein, tell me something, what do you know? How is this exam different, or what exactly is the exam about? What? Depth understanding. Anything else? Over different subjects. Okay. So management over subjects ज़्यादा है इसलिए. Anything else? कि यहाँ की this exam has a different strategy as opposed to other exams. Why? Holistic. Anything else? First, we'll understand the nature of the exam, then I'll discuss about how to prepare economics. You already have an idea now of how to prepare history and how to prepare society. Anything you have in mind with respect to economics, any doubts you have? Seems very hard. Why? Complex terms. Anything else? See, till now, whatever the exams you have given or whatever exams apart from UPSC exist, it's all about trying to read a particular source, trying to remember this, and then write the exam. This is what the approach has been in most of the exams. This is how the preparation has been. That you read a particular book, you try to remember what is there in the book, and then you write an exam, whether it is an MCQ based or even a subjective exam. This exam does not work on this approach. There is no particular one source which you can read, even multiple sources, because it's not an exam which is based on rote memory skill. You don't have to learn particular things which the exam is going to directly ask. There is some level of understanding, analysis and evaluation which you have to do in order to attempt any question that exists in prelims or mains. The nature of the exam is not source dependent, that you read particular books, you read particular newspaper for a particular time period. Because even if you see the newspaper coverage, the exam does not mention any particular date. कि कब से कब तक का न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना है. Why? Because the date itself will give you that the coverage will be in a particular domain. The coverage is not in a particular domain. That means it's not based on reading the source and then remembering it. इस approach से अलग जाना है. This is why the exam is different. Both in prelims and mains, and also the interview will try to check this also, because it's talking about analytical questions. वो बस analytical questions आपकी life पे होंगे. So the exam is not about something which can be prepared directly from a source. You will have to improvise, because the exam is such both in prelims and main stages. Now, if this is not the approach, what is the exam approach, or what exactly is the strategy you need to have? The first stage is that for particular topics, so when it is not a source-based exam, we have to prepare certain topics, and we'll come to what topics exactly in terms of economics. These topics you have to prepare in detail both for prelims and mains. Once you read it, there's no learning which has to happen. There has to be some level of understanding. This is why the recommendation is that you read the NCRTs again, because first time when you have read the NCRT, it was mostly, first time when read the NCRT when you were in school, it was mostly just rote memorizing whatever was there. Right now you don't have to learn anything, you have to understand what exactly is happening. Once you form the basic understanding of different subjects including economics, the second stage would be then analysis. This is where we switch from prelims to the mains preparation. Why we are talking about understanding and not just rote memory skill? Because the questions in prelims will always be new. There could not be a direct source from which you can find the question. But once you understand the basic terminologies, you will be able to apply the understanding and then solve the question. A lot of times you would have seen that once the prelims paper is conducted, exam ke baad bhi you would not know what the answer is, because a lot of it is based on interpretation and what the understanding of the examiner would be. So it's not a strictly source-based exam. Topics would have to be prepared, and topics would have to be prepared from the perspective of understanding. Once you develop the understanding, that is, you know what is happening, then you try to develop the ability of why it is happening. Very important in the subject of economics, because GS3, the first 10 questions would all talk about analysis of Indian economy. Understanding part is mostly checked in your prelims. Once understanding is developed, you can then analyze what is happening in the Indian economy. Understanding is just telling you what is happening, and analysis is telling you why it is happening. And this is what is the domain of mostly mains. This is where the domain of prelims lies. Once analysis is built, there is another part sometimes which is checked in mains. A lot of times what we do is, for example, you've understood a phenomena that India's growth is slowing down. You understand the reason why it is slowing down. Another aspect after understanding why is what actually should happen. A lot of times you'll see in the mains questions, they'll ask you, this is a point of view. Do you agree? Substantiate with certain arguments. Now, what exactly that part is, after analysis, that is a part of evaluation. What should happen? This part is also in a lot of economics questions you'll see. For example, if the question is talking about India's growth process is mostly jobless growth. Now give the reasons why it is jobless growth. Now when you understand first jobless growth, then you can analyze why India's economy is facing jobless growth. The second part of the question might ask, suggest measures how to tackle this problem. A lot of UPSC questions in mains will ask you, suggest measures how to improve. Even if they don't ask you in the question, in the conclusion or the later part of the answer, you'll have to suggest something what should be done. So it's not just sticking on why it is happening, you also have to be suggestive that you need to evaluate what exactly should happen. And both these parts, that is analysis and evaluation, this is something you have to write, and this is the last stage of preparation, that is create. Once you have understood the concepts, you've learned how to analyze and evaluate, you have to put your analysis and evaluation for the examiner in a matter of 150 to 250 words. The examiner doesn't know how much you understand, doesn't understand analysis. Unke samne sirf ek answer ja raha hai, which is of 150 to 250 words. So the first stage, this is how we divide the preparation in 3 stages. And this is how I'll tell you, you can do it in economics also. The first stage of preparation is that you need to develop an understanding. This is the first stage. Understanding of what we'll come to, what topics have to be prepared. One part of is what exactly is the larger economy doing. That is what we call as macroeconomics. And the other part is what is happening in India. So understand the basics of both how the economy works and how did India reach this point. This is the basic. Once that understanding gets developed, you learn to analyze and evaluate what is presently happening and what can be done. This is the second stage of preparation. In the first stage, this is going to take roughly 2 to 3 months. We're going to cover both the macroeconomics part and the Indian economic part. Once that particular base is being developed, from the newspaper, you learn to build the analysis and evaluation. Over a period of time, when you build this analysis and evaluation, roughly after 6 months, you'll be able to do the third stage, that is right. You cannot jump between the stages that you've not built the understanding. You can't just start writing answers. Every subject, first you need to know the basics. So when you said words are complex, उन complex words से used to होना पड़ेगा. Complex because you are reading them for the first time. They're not complex in terms of understanding. It's just that the exposure to economic terms is very limited. It's very less as compared to history, polity, or even society. You somewhere have heard about parliament, you've heard about ministers, you've heard about government, you've heard about history, what different periods, British, Mughal. But here when we talk about GDP, savings, investment, these are some terms which have been used very less in daily parlance. This is why this subject somewhat becomes difficult, because वो सब नए topics आ रहे हैं, नए words आ रहे हैं, and they're coming for the first time. So in the first 2 to 3 months, you'll have to get used to everything and understand how are they working in the economy. Once you understand what is saving, once you understand what is exchange rate, you understand fiscal deficit, you'll be able to analyze what exactly is happening presently. This is the second stage where the newspaper will help you build the analysis and the evaluation, but this will only happen once you have built the understanding. This happens, then you can write. Any new question that comes to you, since you have built the ability to understand, ability to analyze and evaluate, you'll be able to write. You can't just learn something and then start writing. Learning, the part which is important here is, it's only about revision of what you have understood. Once this revision continuously happens, this is happening on a daily basis in the newspaper. After 6 months, any new question you get, you'll be able to write. The more questions you write before the exam, the better performance you'll have in mains. We have to clear all the 3 stages, that is prelims, mains, and interview, at one go. So you can't have that this year prelims preparation, next year mains preparation. This cannot happen. And I'll show you how these 3 stages are integrated also, moving from prelims to mains. But first, the understanding has to be built. There is no one book from which you can read and then learn everything. What you need to function on is how to develop the understanding. Then build the analysis and evaluation. Understanding mein both parts have to be understood. One is how the general economy works, and then the second part is how the Indian economy works. And once you have this understanding of both general economy and Indian economy, you'll be able to understand what is happening right now. UPSC questions are mostly here. Mains questions are mostly analysis and evaluation. Once you develop, you can reason out, you can create interlinkages, you'll be able to write it. Until and unless you understand or you have the ability to analyze, you'll not be able to write it. And for the examiner, this is what is important, what you're able to write. So every part has to be prepared. You cannot just jump stages. So right after understanding, you'll not be able to write, because the questions are not based on general understanding, they're based on analysis and evaluation. Is this clear? I'll show you how for economics all of the 3 stages will work. So the first stage is understanding. Now, what understanding we have to build? Like I said, there are no particular source which you have to read कि एक book पढ़ ली उससे हो जाएगा. This is not going to happen. Then the question comes, what exactly do we have to read? We have to start with the topic. What topic to be read जिसकी understanding बनानी है. So for how do we know what we have to read in this exam? How do you know what you have to read? For example, society है या history है. History, for example, has both prelims and mains. How do you know what to read? Syllabus and PYQs. Does the prelims have a defined syllabus? Then we use both the previous year questions and the syllabus to understand what topics have to be prepared. Now these topics would have to be prepared for prelims comes from just the previous year questions, because the syllabus of the prelims is not detailed. So we know what topics have to be covered from previous year questions, not just the topic, but even the scope of topic. So it's not just about what topic has to be read, how much it has to be read. Both of these things come from the previous year questions. But in mains, we have a detailed syllabus. In mains, the syllabus gives the complete topic which has to be prepared, but how much it has to be prepared, it comes from previous year questions. The topic comes from the syllabus, but the scope of how much you have to read comes from previous year questions. So whenever you start any particular topic, including economics, you always need to know why you are reading it. Is that particular topic important for prelims? Is that particular topic important for mains? If yes, how much I have to read? This previous year question or this main syllabus should always be in front of you. Right now, you don't have to solve any previous year questions. You just need to know the question aa kya raha hai. So that when you read particular source, you need to know how much you have to read in that source. You don't have to solve anything as of now. In fact, for prelims previous year questions, I'll give you the topics itself right now so that you know what you have to prepare. How much you have to prepare, for that you'll have to visit the questions. So once you prepare a topic, you try to solve the previous year questions, you will come to know whether you have prepared enough or not, or you need more preparation. So first thing is, try to know the topic, which I'll just give you for prelims. The second thing is, practice the previous year questions once the topic has been prepared, so that you are preparing to the adequate amount. You know what exactly you have to prepare. So for prelims, it is going to come from previous year questions. And for mains, since it has a detailed syllabus, it is going to come from both the syllabus and the previous year questions. Now, what are the topics for prelims which we have to prepare? Right, since the pattern got changed in 2012, in the last, till 2024, last 12 to 13 years, they have been asking questions from the same topics, whatever have been given since 2012. एक पैटर्न बना है लास्ट 13 years में, and they have not moved away from the pattern. They have changed the nature of the question by changing the statement or by changing the options, but they have not changed the topic which they are going to ask. So we have a complete set of topics which are going to be asked in prelims. The nature of the question might change depending on the statement. For example, this year they asked questions on assertion and reasoning. They asked questions on, they removed 1, 2, 3, they asked only one statement is correct, only two statements are correct. So how they are asking the question has changed, but the topic has not changed. So in the last 13 years, what topics have come from previous year questions in prelims, they have been the same. Now what topics you need to prepare for prelims and how the understanding will be built. All of these topics for prelims are catering to only one section of economics, that is macroeconomics. Macroeconomics talks about the general economy in aggregate, कि पूरी country की income क्या है, what exactly is the price level of the whole country. It does not talk about the behavior of units. Single product, single market, this is something is not talked about. How does the whole economy work? For example, what is the total GDP? What is the total production? What is the total price level? That is average price level. What is inflation? What is unemployment? How many people got jobs? How many people did not get jobs? So talking about the whole economy in general is what is the subject matter of macroeconomics. What are the topics in this macroeconomics? First topic is trying to understand how the economy works, measuring the output of economy, called national income accounting. You account for what is the income of the nation. The variables which we use here is such as the variable of GDP. And once we have accounted the total income, how does the economy witness increase or decrease? That is the concept of growth. And how is growth related to development, or if development is something different? So if the economy is witnessing increase in production or increase in income, that is growth. A related concept is economic development, human development, a number of development concepts. So understanding how the whole economy is producing something and change in production is what we call as growth. Related concept is of development. Once this is clear how production or how income is being estimated, the second topic important is how does the economy conduct the transactions of money. Money and operations of banks. What are the banks doing in the economy? What is the central bank doing in the economy? What is the role of money? What is different forms of money? All such concepts. So one is estimating output. The second is talking about exchanges. What is money and concept of money, including concept of banks. Then we talk about what the role of the government is in the economy. That is the topic of public finance and fiscal policy. Public finance and fiscal policy talks about three things. What is the government doing in terms of collection of tax, spending money, and if the government spends more than what it collects, the government will have debt. So understanding the basics of this. So the first thing I told you is understanding. Understanding sirf macroeconomics ki banani hai. Once you understand, you will be able to make sense of both the second part of prelims and also mains, that is Indian economy. The fourth important component here, the fourth important topic to be prepared is how does the economy interact with the rest of the world? So first, what is economy producing? What is growth? What is development? How is economy conducting transactions, money and banking? How exactly the government is doing its functions, public finance, and all of this economy interacting with the rest of the world, that is the external sector. Here we study the concept of what is exchange rate. Why is rupee value with respect to dollar is 85, 70, 75? How do we calculate that? How exactly do we maintain accounts with the rest of the world? That is called as balance of payment. Any interaction with international institutions, what they are doing, World Bank, IMF, WTO, all of these things. See, all of this, what has to be prepared is coming from previous year only. From 12 to 24, this is what the topics they've asked. Just changed how they are asking, but topics remain the same. Another topic which they have been asking in the last 4 to 5 years is the financial markets. A related concept of money and growth is inflation, poverty and unemployment. So in the initial 2 to 3 months, when you prepare the basic understanding, these are the topics which you need to prepare. This is what will build the base for economics. Once you understand what is the meaning of GDP, once you understand what is money, you understand percentages, what is interest rate, who decides the interest rate, banks do what function in the economy, what is the function of central bank. What exactly is the government doing, what is fiscal deficit, what is the expenditure in various schemes, what is subsidy, what are different types of taxes, what is GST, what is direct tax, all such dynamics. External sector interaction, balance of payment, what is current account, capital account, what is foreign direct investment, what is loans taken from outside, all such things. This also includes the dynamics of trade with rest of the world. How is exchange rate determined, or what the international institutions of World Bank, IMF, WTO, number of institutions, what they are doing. In financial markets, we talk about the stock markets, the bond markets, various instruments, what is the meaning of share, what is capital market, what is money market, all the basics. And similarly, what is inflation, poverty and unemployment, how do we measure these? Another related is, what is the meaning of this, how do we measure this, what is the implication of this? So the first 1 to 2 months, you need to spend on understanding all of this. Once the base gets understood, and since all of these will give you a number of new terms, you'll have to constantly revise. It's just not about learning, that is understanding. You'll need constant revision of the understanding because you'll tend to forget. Once we discuss GDP and then come to public finance, you might forget the terms which we used here, what was savings investment, what was capital output ratio and so on. Because here there will be new terms. So a constant revision of whatever you have understood, you'll be able to solve half of the paper of prelims, that is 7 to 8 questions. And this also forms the base to understand or solve the next half and also solve questions in mains. So the first part which we discussed, that you have to form an understanding. This part is to be based on reading of these topics. The understanding has to be developed on these particular 6 topics. Once the base is done, you are constantly revising, you will be accustomed to the terms. Once the base is done, then we move to the second part of preparation. The second part of preparation, is this clear, these 7 topics? Any doubts here? Now once this is done, we come to the second part of preparation, that is trying to make sense of what is the Indian economy. हम एक बेसिक इकोनॉमी के अंडरस्टैंडिंग से वी आर कमिंग टू अ स्पेसिफिक इकोनॉमी, दैट इज इंडियन इकोनॉमी. नाउ इंडियन इकोनॉमी इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर बोथ थिंग्स. दिस पार्ट ऑफ द syllabus, this part of the topic is going to give you 6 to 8 questions in prelims, whereas this part is going to give you 6 to 8 questions in prelims and is also going to give you all the 8 to 9 questions in mains. At the end of the day, we need to develop analysis and evaluation of Indian economy because main syllabus is completely Indian economy. ये basic क्या inflation होता है, they're not going to ask, but they will definitely ask why India has consistent food inflation. This is something can be asked in mains. So main syllabus is entirely dominated by Indian economy. And 1/2 of the prelims paper is also Indian economy. So once the base of general economy is developed, you can then understand what the Indian economy is. Now, Indian economy itself can be quite vast. What exactly is the domain for both prelims and mains is completely decided by what is written in the main syllabus. Whatever is in the main syllabus, type of questions in prelims is different and mains is different, but topic wahi same hai. Now, what are the topics that need to be prepared here? First, we talk about growth and development of India. Why growth is happening, why after COVID this type of a V-shaped recovery happened or not, why it is jobless growth, number of things related to Indian economy. Here they also talk about concept of planning, which India adopted from 1951 to 2014. They also talk about employment profile of India. All such growth and development related concepts. Another topic which they mention in general can ask about India also is the topic of inclusive growth. So once you develop the understanding here of growth and development, a related concept to growth and development is inclusive growth also, which they ask specifically in the Indian scenario in mains, talking about inclusive growth and issues related to it. Another important, that is the government role. What are the different types of budgeting in India? Questions related to government. So when we said finance, public finance or fiscal policy, it's about tax and expenditure. What tax or expenditure kahan change hota hai? That is the budget. Budget is something which tells every year what is the expenditure, various sectors, what they'll get, and how much tax India is going to charge. That comes in the form of budgeting. So more specific in case of India. Then the most important topic for mains, where you get 3 to 4 questions. In sabse ek question aayega. Every topic has one question in mains. The maximum number of questions that come in mains are from this topic, that is the topic of agriculture, and specifically agriculture in India. Now there are 7 to 8 different terms mentioned here with respect to agriculture in India, and every year there are 3 to 4 questions from that. It starts from first, understanding what is the cropping pattern in India. What is the status of irrigation in India? What are the levels of subsidies given? What is price support, that is MSP? What do you understand by those phenomena? Then how do the farmers sell their produce? That is agricultural marketing. Every year you will find 2 to 3 questions from this. Agriculture related is economics of animal rearing, livestock, technology which helps the farmers, and one for the consumer also, that is how does India ensure its food security, where they ask the concepts of PDS and the act covering the PDS, that is National Food Security Act 2013. Out of these 6 to 7 topics in agriculture, every year there are 3 to 4 coverages of topics. For example, this year there was a question on irrigation. There was a question on cropping pattern, the significance of millets in India. Every year you'll find, last year question on what are the direct and indirect subsidies in India. How does India have a problem with WTO on that? Before that, what is meaning of MSP? How does MSP help the farmer? Marketing, how can farmers sell the produce? What are the issues in marketing? APMC, new farm laws, all those related concepts. So these 6 to 7 topics in agriculture, every year you'll have 2 to 3 questions in mains. Then another topic important after agriculture is a related topic of agriculture, that is land reforms. All of the topics you'll see are just trying to make sense of what is happening in India. Land reforms is something which was practiced right after independence. This year they asked a question that why land reforms were successful in some states while in the other states they were not. So all dynamics related to land reforms. Another topic agriculture related is food processing industry, which is somewhat related to marketing but separately mentioned. One year question comes on land reform, the other year question comes on food processing. But you never know when which question will come. All of them have to be prepared comprehensively. Then another topic is what is the industrial policy in India from independence? What are the reforms that happened in India, especially the reforms that happened in 91? And finally, the topic of creation of infrastructure. And a related topic of infrastructure is how infrastructure gets built, what are the investment models. This is where you'll have 8 to 9 questions in mains and 6 to 8 questions in prelims. These topics have to be prepared. Again, repeating, there is no source-based preparation, there is always topic-based preparation. So once you understand the basic economy, you'll be able to make sense of what is happening in India. Why it is happening is something you learn on a daily basis from the newspaper. यहाँ तक हम पहुँचे कैसे हैं वो पहला understanding part है. Now what all is happening in the Indian economy is where the questions will be centered on, which you learn from the newspaper, which the analysis and the evaluation part is. So the first thing which you need to do here is, are the topics clear? The first thing which you need to do here is form an understanding of all the basics here. कि growth India में यहाँ तक हम पहुँचे कैसे, what is planning, what was planning commission, and how did the employment change. For that, the first stage is develop the understanding of the Indian economy, where you have to develop an understanding on two fronts. One, you need to know how the Indian economy is organized. What is the structure of the Indian economy? How exactly did we reach here? This means you have to prepare all the basics of these topics which we have done. And this includes the history of Indian economic history from 51 till now. All these basics. For example, when we say marketing mein there's a term used, Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee, APMC. So APMC aaya kahan se? What is this APMC? How did this APMC and what are the challenges of APMC? Then only you'll be able to understand if the government brought a law to remove APMC, what the law was doing. So pehle stage mein you have to prepare the organization and structure of the Indian economy. The second is where you have to analyze its performance. This is where you analyze and then you evaluate. The third stage is, once you've analyzed the performance, you've evaluated the performance, you will work on solutions. Solutions are what are the level of government schemes. Now in this whole part, the three stages of preparation of these topics, the understanding is what is going to be tested in prelims. And solutions is what is going to be tested in prelims. Whether you understand the basics or not. For example, they might ask you a question, out of the following crops, which crops gets MSP? अब ये basic है उस sector का जो आपको पता होना चाहिए. But in mains, they will not ask you what crops get MSP. In mains, they'll ask you how does MSP help the farmer. So this whole domain of analysis and evaluation of the performance is a domain of mains. Even solutions to some extent is part of mains, but since schemes are being asked in prelims, the solutions have to be prepared there also. This is how the preparation will go in stages. Understand in the first 2 months the first general macroeconomics. In the second part, after 2 months, you understand the Indian economy, and once you build this understanding in 1 month or so, you'll be able to understand the complete newspaper and you'll be building this skill. Once these two happen in combination, there's a revision and analysis. Within 4 to 5 months, you'll be able to start writing answers. This is where you have to reach finally, because answers is what tells the examiner how much you know. So how exactly the preparation has to go? First thing, it's not a source-based preparation, it is a topic-based preparation. So when I'm talking about analysis, no matter how many sources I read, if I have good analysis on all of this, my answer writing, my evaluation skills will be better. You'll be able to present better content without have to learn anything. This is why reading 2-3 sources, 2-3 newspapers is something which is recommended, so that you build a very good level of analysis and evaluation. 1 or 2 sources will be recommended for forming the understanding part. वहाँ पे source limit होगी क्योंकि understanding के लिए you don't need a lot of sources. But for analysis, definitely you need 2 to 3 newspapers, magazines, number of sources, because if someone's asking a question, what should be done? Now you are not an expert which can tell because you've read something. You have to learn from the opinions of others. How do you learn from the opinions of others? When you read the newspaper. The opinion pages in the newspaper is where someone is giving you the analysis and also talks about solutions. The more solutions you read, the better your answer will be, the more comprehensive your answer will be. If you just try to mug up 3 to 4 points, memory based, the memory might be lost, and secondly, it might be unidimensional, it might not be comprehensive. This is why building the skill is what takes you closer to the exam, helping you clear in the first go itself. Because if you don't have the wrong expectations, go to books, go to magazines, it will not take you closer to the exam. फिर वो cycle चलती रहेगी. तो अगर initially में ये habit सही बन जाए, that is something going to help here. Is this clear? What topics have to be covered and how they have to be covered? Any doubts here? Yes. How do you define paucity of time? Like, what exactly is the other priority you have? Over a period of time, you'll understand that not all articles are important for the exam. ये टॉपिक क्यों बताएं? Because for this you should know what exactly is important for me. The newspaper is not written for UPSC aspirant. The UPSC aspirant only has to pick out the important things which are related to the exam. So entire newspaper is not important. And even if it is, you have to find the time for two. At the end of the day, this is not an absolute exam. This is not something I did not like doing economics, so I got 55 in economics. In history, I got 60. This is not going to work. This is a competition. If you are not doing it and someone else is doing it, who has a better chance of that selection? So you can't say paucity of time जबकि मेरा सारा priority ही वही है. You can't have other priorities कि newspaper important नहीं है. Just like I told you, you have to build this skill. Anyone giving you the analysis from a video or from current affair notes, he's done that analysis. So you're just trying to learn it. वो फिर कब नहीं आएगा क्योंकि क्वेश्चन नया होगा, फिर आप वो उसको पुट नहीं कर पाओगे वहां पे, फिर मार्क्स कम आएंगे. So how do you learn to build the analysis? When you read and you think and then know this is the answer. So you should have an opinion. When you start having an opinion is when you can write it in 8 minutes. If you just focus on learning and then replicating it, it will be very difficult. You'll be able to do it in 12 to 13 questions. But what about the rest 7? हमें 20 के 20 क्वेश्चन में वो काम करना है. 12 to 13 में definitely you can learn and score good. But that is not going to get you the selection because you have to do it in 20 answers. We don't have to write 12 brilliant answers. We have to write 20 good answers. Not above average. We just have to write average 20. You are going to get the selection. But उसके लिए फिर ये बनाना खुद आना पड़ेगा. किसी और पे डिपेंडेंट हो गए, याद करने लगोगे, फिर क्वेश्चन नहीं आएगा, फिर कुछ आंसर नहीं होगा. This is why this happens in the interview also. Because in interview they are asking about understanding of yourself and whether you have analyzed yourself or not. वो सोचने की कभी होता ही नहीं है, इसलिए बहुत चीज़ें पता ही नहीं होती क्या बोलना है. And then you start lying, your numbers get start deducting. It's all about understanding and analysis. ये खुद करना है तो उसके लिए 2 न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ने पड़ेंगे. You don't have any other option because it's not an absolute exam. This is a competition. Someone else is doing, they'll definitely score better. वो उनके आंसर्स पढ़ के लगेगा कि इन्होंने कुछ ज़्यादा डिफरेंट नहीं किया है, थोड़ा सा ही डिफरेंस है. But he has done it for 20 questions in a matter of 3 hours. So whenever you look at the topper's copy, you'll find that there is nothing special, but they have done it with consistency over and over again. So whenever new questions were given, they were able to write 20 in a matter of 3, which they then did it in mains and got a very good rank. तो वो हैबिट बनानी है, लर्न नहीं करना है. This exam is all about discipline and habit. Don't have that, you'll just revolve in circles in 6 attempts. Because always you'll feel कि हो सकता है, but वो करने के लिए डिसिप्लिन नहीं है. तभी तो वो बार बार दे रहे हैं. If you think the exam is difficult, you would not come and attempt. एक साल 2 साल में पता चल जाता नहीं होगा, but हर साल लगेगा हो जाएगा. But वो दूर है because discipline is missing, the habit is missing. Is it clear? Any other doubts here? What you have to prepare? Are the topics clear? Now, how will you prepare the topics? What are the sources? Anyone has an idea? Any source? Any source someone has started? First yes, NCRT. First, the most important NCRT for the first part I told you, macroeconomics, is the class 12th NCRT of macroeconomics. The book name is Introductory Macroeconomics. Whatever topics we have written, this book has chapters on each and every topic. And every year, 6 to 8 questions come from that particular NCRT itself. Secondly, for the Indian economy part, if you have to build, the book name is Indian Economic Development. This is class 11th NCRT. These are the 2 NCRTs which will give you the starting base of understanding. Class 12th, the macroeconomics and economic development NCRT. Indian Economic Development NCRT of class 11th. This is the starting point where you will have a good understanding of what macroeconomics is. Now, there's no particular book which is available in the market because most of the academic sources that have been written, they have been written for the university syllabus. So, वो Indian economy के काफी extensive source हैं. If you want to read that, definitely you'll have analysis, but you have to read them selectively. वाई? बिकॉज हमें पूरा टॉपिक प्रिपेयर नहीं करने, हमें बहुत कम टॉपिक्स और कम लिमिटेड स्कोप में प्रिपेयर करना है. फॉर दैट यू हैव टू गुड बुक्स. वन इज द इंडियन इकोनॉमी बाय Mishra and Puri. Again, it's a book of 1200 pages, not to be done completely selectively, but you'll get a very good analysis of what the topics they ask in mains. They're presented in a very easy to read format once you have the basic understanding. And second is Indian economy, policies and performance by Uma Kapila. Again, these two are sources which have to be used selectively. Highly, because ये दोनों ही बैचलर्स और मास्टर सिलेबस के लिए लिखी गई हैं फॉर यूनिवर्सिटी. What we have to pick out is the only things which we don't have data on or which we don't have analysis on from our syllabus. हमारे topic clear हैं, तो उन topics के लिए ही you have to refer to these books selectively. Other books which have been written specifically for UPSC, they're not very credible because you don't know whether they're right or wrong. Also, the analysis is very limited. It's not exhaustive. So you spend a lot of time reading. First, you don't know the authenticity, and second, it's also limited. तो वो exam में 10 में से 2 question करवाए वो भी सही नहीं हो. So there's no point reading the book. So it's start with the base here. Read the Indian economy from this, and the contemporary topics from Indian economy. You have to refer to 2 sources. One is, this is something you should not skip till you are selected. Read both the Indian Express and the Hindu. And the year in which you have planned to give the attempt, you have to read the economic survey cover to cover. Economic survey is the analysis of the Indian economy of 1 year. कि ये ट्रेड में हुआ है, ये फिस्कल पॉलिसी में हुआ है, ये मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी में हुआ है. So whatever year you are preparing, you have to read the economic survey of that year, which will clear your understanding of what has happened in the past 1 year. And the second is newspaper, which has to be read daily, both the Indian Express and Hindu. How will you make notes of the newspaper? Notes of the newspaper will only be for the topics which are written in the mains syllabus. The preparation should be topic wise. This is what we have discussed. अब वो topic Indian economy कैसे prepare करना है, हर topic के ऊपर, whether it is Indian agriculture, irrigation, its cropping pattern, you need to have roughly 6 to 7 pages. Now every topic 6 to 7 pages, and the notes will also be topic wise. The notes will never be date wise. There is no note making that will happen date wise. It will always be topic oriented. So if I have a particular discussion on subsidies in agriculture, I need to add that 1 page whatever I have read from the newspaper in my notes on subsidies. So you have a basic 6 to 7 pages of notes on a particular topic. You add whatever you learn from the newspaper in that. So all of the newspaper note making should be topical, should be topic wise. It should never be date wise. So newspaper note making, you can have 3 different notebooks of GS 1, 2, 3. 3 के topic में वो जो भी important topics है, you can note down. And once your basics and your newspaper notes are together at one place, you will be able to write the answer very easily. Because आपके पास एक consolidated source होगा जिससे revision होगा. The better revision you have, the better your answer writing would be. So I have to consolidate my notes. It should not be spread at different places. कि newspaper भी पढ़ा है, कहीं से कुछ magazine पढ़ लिया है, कहीं से कुछ video देख लिया है. It should not happen scattered. It should always be at one place. Even if you have read a newspaper, you have read a magazine, or you have seen a video, उन तीनों का compilation एक जगह पे लिखना पड़ेगा. And that will add to your basic notes. You will have 10 to 12 pages on each and every topic, which is more than enough to write 150 to 250 words, because the maximum limit is 250. So I have 6 to 7 pages on each and every topic. Over and above, I will add things from the newspaper. If you think you need more analysis on certain topics, आपका analysis कम है. So selectively you can go to certain other sources such as now again, all of these sources are not telling you have to read it every day or monthly basis. All of these are only be done when you don't have enough information from your basics in newspaper. If I think for a particular topic such as say industrial policy, I do not have enough content. In the last 1 to 2 years, Yojana has given one complete magazine on industrial policy. So whenever I feel I'm lacking on content on any particular topic, that I do not have enough content, I can use these magazines selectively. Again, it's not a regular habit you have to build of reading these magazines. Regular habit सिर्फ यहाँ चाहिए. This is just selectively view कि ये कौन से topics में, because all of these 4 magazines, they're not date wise covering anything. All of them are topical magazines. योजना भी टॉपिक पे 10 आर्टिकल देगा, कुरुक्षेत्र also. Similar is with Frontline and Down to Earth. They're only going to give analysis on topics. They are not like newspapers which cover the news date wise. So if you think there are certain topics which are important for the exam and I don't have enough content, I can then refer to these sources. This is how the source coverage will happen. You can start with the basic NCERTs, then build over the Indian economy from these particular books. They're academic sources, well researched, highly comprehensive. But again, be selective while using it. Newspaper is what is going to give you the present analysis. So my basic notes have to combine with what is coming in the newspaper. By chance, I don't have anything on the topic, I will then go to these sources if that particular topic has been covered in these sources. This is how you can cover all of your mains related topics. Prelims ka basic has already been built through the macroeconomics NCERT. Otherwise, if you want to understand it more, this first part of this and understanding of Indian economy, you can refer to the printed material which we have. There are 4 booklets which cover in detail all of the topics which we have done. The printed material of the institute is going to give you 4 booklets covering each and every topic in detail, helping your basic understanding. But ये सिर्फ 6 to 7 pages की understanding basic होगी. उसके बाद newspaper का analysis something you'll have to add. A combination of these two is what is going to help you a good answer. The more analysis you have, the better marks you have, a chance to score better marks in mains. This is how you can get a good rank in the first attempt itself. This is why forming habits is important. Shortcuts might give you a satisfaction in the short run कि हाँ कुछ तैयारी हो रही है, but वो 1 साल बाद पता चलेगा कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. And then you'll not be able to understand why you did not get selected because UPSC doesn't tell why the marks were low. वो सीधा दिखाएगा GS3 में 75 or 85. Why 75 or 85 you'll not be able to know. So if you set the right expectations, form the right habits, you will not be stopped in the first attempt itself. Getting good marks in the first attempt will be very easy. Is it clear? Any doubts you have from the subject? Is it clear how it is to be done? See, हमें no. I have to form understanding. Now, I can have 10 different people who can make me understand one thing. Same is with the source. जिस source से आप comfortable हो गए, ये topic cover हो गया. How would I know I have covered enough? I solve the PYQs. PYQs are being solved. You select the source whichever you like. This is why I said preparation is first part is understanding. Now understanding can happen from 10 different institutes, 10 different teachers, 10 different books. You select where you are comfortable with. That book should be credible to help you form an understanding. Once that happens, your understanding is done, then it's your part to build the analysis from newspaper. तो वो 4 आपके पास option है. आप एक select कर सकते हो. What options I think I find credible and easy to understand, I've given you those sources. Because these two are highly academic sources and they're very good comprehensive analysis, and the NCERT gives an understanding because I feel that it is easily written and covers everything in detail. You feel it is difficult for you, then we find another source. This is why I said printed material tries to explain the same thing over a period of 4 booklets. अब उसमें printed material के अलावा भी बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. वो आप जिससे comfortable हो, just scroll through it, read few pages. Wherever you're comfortable, you use that and use that repeatedly because you just don't change the sources. For understanding थोड़ी change हो सकती है. Language difference है, then you'll get confused. So choose one, browse. Once selected, understanding gets built, then you have to come here. Question पहले ही मैंने बताया डायरेक्ट तो कहीं से नहीं आएगा. वो तो पेपर के बाद भी नहीं पता चलेगा कहाँ से आया. You need to know how I can solve the question. I know the basics. Now, can I apply my mind to solve the question? For example, I know what is the meaning of demographic dividend. Demographic dividend का analysis हो रखा है. UPSC ने पूछा demographic winter का क्या मतलब होता है? So, can I use my knowledge which I have gathered from reading these sources? Can I apply my mind to solve that question or not? Now, there is a likely chance that you might have heard or read about this demographic winter in a newspaper. तो direct solve हो जाएगा. नहीं होगा तो क्या मेरी limited knowledge से मैं वो solve कर सकता हूँ या नहीं कर सकता? This is how you have to play in prelims. Mains में it's easy because I know what the question is. Can I write that in 150 250 words or not? That's the challenge. वहाँ क्वेश्चन प्रिडिक्टेबल है, वहाँ पता है क्या आएगा, क्या मैं 20 के 20 आंसर 150 वर्ड के लिख पाऊंगा कि नहीं, वो एक क्वेश्चन है. प्रीलिम्स में थोड़ा क्वेश्चन इज डिफरेंट, सो माय नॉलेज बेस इज हेल्पिंग मी सॉल्व इट और नॉट, दिस इज हैव टू वर्क ऑन. एनी डे नो पर्टिकुलर सोर्स इज गिविंग यू द क्वेश्चन. तो आप एक मैगजीन पढ़ लो या PT 365 पूरे साल का करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ लो एंड थिंकिंग के यहाँ से क्वेश्चन आएगा, दिस इज नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन. इफ इट इज अ रोट मेमोरी बेस्ड एग्जाम, यू डोंट स्टैंड अ चांस, क्योंकि जिनके रट्टे अच्छे हैं वो हमेशा सेलेक्ट हो जाएंगे हर साल. Then it's not a level playing field. Only when it is an understanding based exam, it's equal for all. Understanding based exam not giving any preference to one profession, कि डॉक्टर्स को बेनिफिट मिले, लॉयर्स को, सबके लिए सेम है, इसलिए तो प्रिपरेशन करने आए हो. If it is a rote memory based skill exam, then the whole game is lost. Doctors itself will clear the exam every year because वो रट्टा ज़्यादा है, वो पढ़ते ज़्यादा है. So this is understanding. So this is how understanding, whatever source you are comfortable, I have given you 1 or 2 options where you can refer to. Other options, just scroll through them. Whatever option you are comfortable with, select that. Provided it should be credible. गलत चीजें अगर पढ़ ली वो फिर गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. Is it clear? Any doubts you have from this? Is it clear how the subject has to be prepared? First, form understanding. Second stage, form analysis. And the third stage, then only write. Without understanding and revision of understanding, this subject is going to be very difficult because analysis में फिर याद करने लगोगे. So even if your understanding is taking 2 to 3 months, it is a time which is worth spent because आगे जाके बहुत आसान हो जाएगा. This is a subject where both in prelims and mains you can score very highly if you are able to form the understanding, and if you're not, you'll be then again moving in circles. So पहले 2-3 महीने सिर्फ understanding of macroeconomics and Indian economy is something which you should do. In case you have a doubt with respect to any of this, this is my email address in case you have problems understanding, selecting a source, or in any newspaper article you're reading on economics. Thank you.